The Niger River has brought me to the heart of the Sahara and can take me no further. From here likely to see are ships of the desert, and where better to get acquainted with them than the legendary city of Timbuktu. Well, I've reached Timbuktu again, and back in the Sahara, for the first time in the land of the Tuareg, the great Saharan nomad traders who founded Timbuktu, for that most precious commodity of the Sahara, the salt. And the extraordinary thing is that still today, the salt is brought down on camels in these great tablets, as it was all those years ago from the mines 800 k's up into the desert. Well, you've changed, but you know, basically you look the same as the original camel herders, don't you? How is it lugging all that salt around? It must be sheer hell. Is it nice now it's finished? Yeah. But things have changed. In Timbuktu today, the Tuareg are more likely to be found camped against the walls, sheltering from the desert rather than crossing it. Parts it is about for so long, and why it is that so many risked their lives to reach streets like these. The mosque is evidence of the golden age of Timbuktu. El Saheli, the man said to have invented mud brick architecture, designed and built it for Mansa Musa, the immensely rich emperor, at a time when Mali was the greatest empire in Africa. This great mosque here in Timbuktu is an extraordinarily powerful and quietly affecting building. It's built on almost 100 columns, and it creates a sort of cool in this cauldron of heat outside. It was originally constructed in 1325, and just the sheer scale of the place is testimony to the power of the Islamic presence here in the Middle Ages. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! It's Friday in Timbuktu, the holiest day of the week for Muslims, and after prayers the Imam invites me back to his house. The Imam has a collection of scientific texts that clearly show the planets circling the sun. They date back hundreds of years, preserved, I assume, by the dry desert air. It's convincing evidence that the scholars of Timbuktu knew a lot more than their counterparts in Europe. About the details of the eclipse, they knew things which we had to wait for 150, almost 200 years to know in Europe, when Galileo and Copernicus came up with these same calculations. And were given a very hard time for it. In another part of his house, the Imam runs a school where local children learn the Quran. He explained to me that he hopes that Timbuktu can one day regain some of its former glory and become once again the great centre of scholarship. After the Middle Ages, Timbuktu slid into decline, but its mystique grew, stoked by the fact that no one could get to it. Then in 1826, a Scotsman, Alexander Lang, rediscovered Timbuktu. His house is for sale if you fancy a weekend hideaway. Over a period of about 350 years, 43 separate people tried to get to Timbuktu, and only 4 of them succeeded, which Lang wasn't greatly impressed, and it was certainly not the fabled city of wealth that he'd expected. Anyway, he stayed here for a while, and they were very hospitable. As he went home, he fell out with the people who were taking him back across the Sahara. That was the end of Lang, but his house is remembered here, and as I say, it is still available. I can see myself festering here, gazing mournfully back at the past, but the desert beckons. East of Timbuktu, the Sahara is virtually inaccessible to all but the nomads who move their cattle across it. Once a year, they all have a get-together at Ingal in the Republic of Niger. Wadabi, a tall, elegant people thought originally to have come from Ethiopia. They walk and ride hundreds of miles every year, seeking They move camp every stone must be portable. Recent rains have brought food and water, and they must take every advantage of these conditions to fatten their cattle. The Wadabi grow no food, so without the animals they would not survive. The fattening of the animals on the salt grass is celebrated at an annual festival called Cure Salé, the Salt Cure. This great gathering of the nomadic clans is now only days away. One of their spokesmen, they don't have chiefs, Hula. In a combination of French and a little English, he explains that everyone in this group comes from the same family line.
To Perry.
Ah, Perry. Yeah, Perry.
Et ça, j'étais présent, Perry.
Ah, Perry. Right. He introduces me to Pep's a heavy-duty pair of Austrian sunglasses, which I never see him remove. Perry assures me he's only the brother-in-law. Ah, yes. The obvious non-family member is a French student called Céline, who's been living with the group and working with the women. She shares everything, including the contents of her medicine bag, which are much in demand. What are the relationships like among the Wadabi, between the men and the women? Are there other problems there?
It's a free life here. The woman is, well, I can't say free, but more or less free, like what a free woman.
So
she's with her husband.
Yeah.
But if she wants, she can leave him. She can go to.
They're quite liberated sexually.
More or less, yes.
Yeah. It's important for them to look beautiful. So
Yes, very important. When a man chooses a woman, or when a woman chooses a man, the first thing they look is the beauty of the person.
This must be one of the most extraordinary beauty contests I've ever seen. It's called the Gerawal, and it's a high school hop. The young men go to enormous lengths to make themselves irresistible. This means plenty of makeup, exotic hairdressing, the ability to repeat the same song and the same movement for hours on end, and some very fancy eye work. How long do they dance for?
It's something like 7 days.
7 days. It's the girls' turn. Once decked out in all grannies, they will parade and make their choice of partner. They look very beautiful, very young, and rather frightened. Now comes the time to play their part in the ceremony. Do they come forward?
Yes, people like women want to swear this.
Though the girls have the right to choose privilege, their choice must be made in full view. Nerves are beginning to show. Choose one one boy.
Yes.
They go up and they put their hand on them.
Yes, maybe one woman, maybe two.
Oh,
If
wow.
you
The mistress of ceremonies, each girl walks the line until contact is made and the choice announced in the traditional way. Now the worst is over. Her chosen one will meet up with her later. He's hers for the night. A boy and a girl who got together at last year's Garawal. Rene, tucking into millet porridge, was chosen by Goudet, and they now have to decide whether they want to get married or not.
This is not a marriage for
Non,
the
ils
parents.
sont pas, non, c'est pas mariage pour les parents.
So they like
Voilà,
each other.
c'est
Yeah.
juste mariage pour l'amour, ils s'entendaient bien.
Oui. Yeah.
Many people from Wadabe go to
Doula explains that although they've been lovers for a year, Goudet wants to go to Cure Saleh and see how Rene shapes up in the big Garawal
les
dance.
garçons, children,
Yeah.
qui dansent bien.
Oh, yes. I see some of these.
If he dances well, he'll very likely decide to be his wife.
Ils dansent, comment il va faire, et après ils vont faire le mariage.
Then they can claim the family symbols. But until Cure Saleh's over, Goudet's keeping everyone guessing.
We're on our way. The great Wadabi family outing has begun to Cure Saleh, which is an enormous festival where all the nomads, there'll be Tuaregs there, other nomadic tribes come together. Once yearly event. I'm not quite sure what goes on, but all festivals.
Celebrated is, and no, I admit it, up the whole way. I ride to Ingal in a bush taxi with 15 Wadabi crammed on board to 2 hours.
Well, we've now reached Foma. Foma means hello in Wadabi. The Wadabi, we've finally reached the big city. I mean, it isn't a big city at all. It takes place, and after where we were, it is a big shock because suddenly there's walls, there's cars, there's police property to them. They've got this courtyard here from some Hausa boys, probably at a bit of a high rent, and there's a kind of feeling it's not totally comfortable here. You know, country boys come to the big city. There are a lot of base here. It's just very different, and a moment slightly sort of hostile, cautious feeling about it all. You're going to go out. Hello, Foma. Foma, how are you? They're so lovely because you just walk at this very gentle pace. And out there, it's complete mayhem.
Cure Saleh is everything. A grand party, trade fair, Highland games. For 1 week a year, this little backwater is filled to bursting as thousands of nomads come to eat and drink, buy and sell, see and be seen, race their camels and generally celebrate the joys of living in a land without boundaries. For Doula and Perry, it's also a chance to catch up on the shopping.
Okay.
حالك زين
How Zain?
حالك باهي
Oh, I don't know. Different now. So what are we going to buy?
I want to buy the
Que tu
chicken.
achètes sugar, for 80 persons.
Voilà,
So,
80 personnes.
yeah. So that's 80 people you're getting the provisions for. Will you stay 4 days here in Ghana?
I don't know. I want to dance in. I want to see many people from my family.
So you're going to buy? Are you going to buy new clothes?
Yeah. I want to come see. Yes, mine is.
Harry's a bit of a dude, really, isn't he? He's kind of, is this new home? That's look at that.
Yes,
That's
something
nice.
like this.
Yeah. You're so much. The clothes,
No,
these
same.
trousers, here they are.
It's
Yes,
good.
they are in beige.
It's good too.
But I like these.
Yes, yes, me too, I'm like it.
You like that?
People, every people like this.
All right. Qu'est-ce que c'est ces choses ici?
Ça, c'est le...
C'est
C'est du sel.
oh, that's salt.
Ça, c'est du sel. Ça vient de Birman.
Yeah, this is salt from.
Oui.
No idea, then this is the place to flaunt it.
It's a bit hot for skiing here.
Yeah, it's
Where
not
do you
hot.
you ski?
In the evening you can
Ski on sand?
yeah, and sand ski from desert.
Yeah.
Ski in desert. Yeah.
I mean, isn't it a bit? Do you sink into
Very
the
good.
sand?
Yes. I have
Sand?
picture. I have picture for this ski.
Have you got one?
Yes.
All right. Well,
Let me show you first.
okay. I mean, these are European skis, same as snow ski. Comment tu t'appelles?
Maintenant c'est Abdelkader Danger.
Abdelkader Danger, as in danger.
Yeah, Danger. Yeah,
Abdelkader Danger.
Danger.
Oh, that's good.
I've been
Yeah.
to Joe magazine too.
Abdul Danger.
Abdelkader
I'm sure
Danger.
that gives me confidence.
That's right.
I am Michael Cowardly.
Michael Cowley.
Yes, Michael Highly Cowardly. But
Michael
that's very
Cowley
nice.
Cowley.
Yes.
It's good.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's think about it. Just so I'll have 2 African masks and a course of skiing lessons, please.
As evening approaches, the crowds get lights. Wadabi prepare to join the dance. They'll be facing some strong competition. Rene and the boys make final checks in the plastic hand mirrors that every self-respecting Wadabi lad carries with him. With ostrich headdresses rounding off the outfit, Rene's already looking around, maybe wondering where Goudet is, maybe on the lookout for some action himself. But this, it seems, is what Cure Soleil is all about. The one time in a hard year, when same time, to exchange contacts, advice, and of course, widen the water. I've benefited from Cure Soleil as well, finding a group of Tuareg who've agreed to let us go with them on a salt caravan, leaving from a nearby village. The journey will take us across an arid furnace of desert, but on our way to the village, the almost unbelievable happens.
Well, there is water in the Sahara. When the rainy season hits, it's pretty dry. I would have just walked up here. It would have just been like a beach anywhere. This has happened within one day. This will continue to grow. Rains have fallen somewhere, I don't know quite what, to about height here. And in a week,
At the oasis of Tabalot, this precious water stays close enough to the surface to create... And this is across the burning sands.
Ah, orange. Ah, oui, merci. Ah, c'est bon. Rafraîchissant.
All the water has to be brought up from below the surface. This well is a wooden winch, and a goatskin bag spills the water into a network of irrigation channels. It's a method as old as the Bible, probably older. And it works. The fields of Tabalot are rich in onions, carrots, maize and millet, whilst the trees provide orange, fig, pomegranate, wrapped in bags to keep...
Quel est le plus grand?
Le plus grand, c'est 20 mètres.
20 mètres?
Oui.
60 feet up. Il monte 20
Il monte, oui.
60 feet to get the...
Go! And he dropped his load.
I just want, I only want to... Oh oui. Merci. Merci beaucoup.
Omar's home is in the centre of the village, a mile or so away from the well. He's taking me to meet his family, They speak only Arabic or Tamahak, the language of the Tuareg. He tells me he has 4 wives and 15 children.
15 children. Tu es riche.
Non, un enfant, oui.
C'est un problème d'avoir 4 femmes. Problème?
Oui, avec
Though he smiles easily enough, things are clearly not as rosy as they look. Who cannot work.
manger, c'est un peu dur.
Yeah.
Comme il y a des enfants, il y a des...
So it's
C'est pas facile.
difficile.
C'est très difficile.
Difficile avec les enfants.
His wives seem to be of all different ages, and I ask him if there are problems having all 4 of them under the same roof at the same time.
4 femmes dans la
Ouais,
même maison.
Yes, he says there are many, many problems. They all seem to boil down to the same thing: jealousy.
jalousie.
Jealousies, yeah.
Oui.
Yeah. Mais peut-être si vous...
Have just
Difficile.
Pas difficile.
Yeah. So maybe...
Mais avec 4 femmes, c'est très difficile.
Ah, yeah. But pourquoi
Omar agrees that it would probably be much easier. But then, as he puts it, he wants lots of children.
You've got a lot of children, yeah.
I think in his own modest way, Omar rather likes the idea of starting a dynasty. The night before the camel train leaves for the salt pans of Bilma, there's a big party. It gets wilder and wilder as the men strut every step they know to impress, and there's no sitting it out. The local boys are tireless, happy to run, but for us oldies, it's time for bed. There's a long in Tabalot, and the great day of departure has arrived. These are the men in the most desolate corners of the Sahara.
Est-ce qu'il y a cette... sur le chameau
Oui.
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 OK. Merci. Got more important things to put on first. There's straw in here. I asked him if it's for the camel to eat. He said, no. For us. So you don't get much to eat, mate. I'm sorry.
There are 9 chameliers, or cameleers, in our party, and 30 camels, most of which are of the white, docile variety, beloved by the Tuareg of the Aya Mountains. My camel, I notice, is not, but brown and rather stroppy.
I wanted to make off with it. Yeah? Il y a un nom?
Koik.
Koik. Koik. Koik, I think means he who takes foreigners. Koik. Koik. A Koik.
We're ready to go. Everything we need for the journey has to be carried on the backs of the camels, except of course fresh food, which walks.
Well, this is it. It's not quite what I expected when I had camel rides on the start of the train. I failed already. I've got him a few yards anyway.
So we leave Tabalot, a modest caravan compared to the one which left here in 1922, observed by one Captain Buchanan, who estimated it to be...
Come on, quick.
It's 350 miles across the desert to Bilma, but all being well, I shall be leaving before that and branching north towards the As we pass out of the mountains, some of the extraordinary rock art that covers this part of the Sahara.
It's 6,000 years. See, 6,000 years old.
Si on va une
Some
femme,
say they're men from outer space. Others believe they're ancestors of the Wit, taken as proof that not that long ago, the Sahara was a green and fertile place.
It's rather easy ambling for sand, but it's very deceptive, really stark desert. This is killer landscape because there is no water here, there's no shelter anywhere around. You go slowly because it's the only way to survive. And if you didn't have water, you didn't have any friends around you, that would be it within 24 hours.
Camel or dromedary is these marvellous desert machines. Their weight is so finely distributed that they leave barely a mark. Where to graze they can last 2 weeks without water, 500 pounds over in North. Camels changed the history of the southern. Without them, 2,000 years of trade, war, expansion and exploration would never have happened.
Midday, peak of heat, we're seeking a tree, but that's obvious. The other thing does not dictate the pace, but also the mood. It's the sort of continuous, sort of unchanging the way I think you survive this sort of thing. Once you keep stopping and starting, that's always a little bit more difficult. I know you've got to have shelter and all that, but the camels just moving presences just because they just keep going, you know. They don't want to be patted. I mean, you know, there are good things about it. There are no flies. You don't get bitten by a growth to catch your clothing on or get jabbed by or anything like that. But there's very little scope for action, so you think a lot. Like this in the first place. No, it's just a joke. Oh, a tree, an arbour, Omar. An arbour. Hey! This is going to where we're going to stop next. It's sort of 2-star, basically cover, no lifts, no room service. There's no rooms actually, but sounds jolly good. Ooh. Lovely the way they go down, sort of fold up like collapsible tables. This is what they actually eat off the acacia tree, but to get at the greenery, which I suppose is what they want, there are these amazingly long and very, very sharp thorns, incredibly sharp. They're just sort of on in their mouths, the tongue and the side of the mouth and the gullet. God only knows. I mean, I wouldn't eat this, even in a sandwich. Well, possibly in a sandwich. I'd eat anything at the moment, I tell you. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, c'est bon.
The midday temperatures peak at around 56 Celsius, and only in late afternoon, when the day begins to cool off, is it safe to set up. Sometimes leave at 4 in the morning, but despite it, they still aim to walk 14 or 15 hours a day. I don't know about the camels, but I find walking this soft sand is the most tiring of all. But Isambah Mohammed, the camel singer, keeps a beady eye out for flagging spirits.
Tree you see over there. Seeing one tree becomes a wonderful luxury object. You can understand what coming to an oasis means to these people. Everything's just pared down. Very minimal expectations.
The main social event of the day is the Everyone has a job to do. Omar and Isambah slaughter the sheep. Osman bakes bread in a sand oven, and Musa plats some fresh twine to secure the camel loads.
There's nowhere to sit. I really miss most. I mean, sit here, but this is actually their bedding and their food for the animals. I can't really sit here for long. I don't believe in chairs. I do find electric chairs of various kinds, reading lamps and perhaps a television, possibly a small bar and a fridge, front door bell, some stairs and maybe a couple of friends.
مرة تناطر تحتين قلت تقدر
Thick and coarse and heavy and
توقلا
جوجلا
هو
جوجلا
توقلا تقلا لا ساسي لي تقلا
تقيلة
تقلا
تقيلة
تقلا
No, no.
تقلا لكما
It's more like cake, really. A chunk of cake used up at school. That's hard, crispy outside. Yeah, good.
تقلا
Tadilla. You have to get the emphasis right. Tadilla probably means, you know, butter. Tadilla. It's lovely cake. You're a great audience. Almost, yes. I think actually I'm doing something probably wrong here, another breach of etiquette, because they seem to be breaking up the tagula. The tagula into the bowl here, so I suppose they're going to put sauce on it, but you're popping a bit in your mouth at the same time, so I'll do a bit of that.
امبي تقلا امبي تقلا
Un peu tadula. Un peu tadula. They're probably teaching me all the wrong words. They're probably saying,
الناس لما الناس مرسوها صورا تقلا وما تقلا 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 تقلا
It's a minimalist joke, but it's going very well. This looks like the meat. An odd feeling to be eating one of rather sweet really, and they get kicked about. One of them has now been dispatched, and the others are sort of swinging on the bush, and the other two are sort of looking around, obviously sort of, well, what happened to Bert, you know. Didn't seem too concerned. I think he laid down his life for a good cause. This is actually for tourists, a banquet, because they very rarely have meat when they're on the journey. I think they just have couscous. There'll be a lot of sand in it. There always is here, especially with the wind blowing. It gets everywhere. Yeah. Now what do we do? Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
محمد
It's lovely, actually. Is that? Very good. To a leg licked, I think. It's much more sensible. You have to tie it quite securely because all the walking kind of loosens it, but it's cool and it keeps the dust off, so you can put it right over, can't you? Après, oh yeah. Sorry, my dresser. General looker after. I'd like to be able to see out of it. I might walk into a camel. That's it, see? Brilliant. And this can go up. That's right. Thank you. There, ready for the route. Dust. It's very, very cool. It's excellent, isn't it? Yeah. Merci. Now about the camels, it's the strange rumblings that go around the camp whenever they're either being loaded up or being put down. You can hear one going now. And it's almost like some sort of language, and I'm not quite sure whether it's what it is when they're going to start off. Is it anger, is it protest, or is it just sort of, here we go. Yeah, some sort of communication goes on, like making their presence felt. We're not meant to do this, we're not meant to be beasts of burden. I have to develop a noise of my own, I think, to go with it. I'll try one. Good. Works. As to be almost irrelevant. I can understand why so many religions were born in the desert. The outside is so... Then, just as I'm beginning to achieve a little spiritual harmony with this great emptiness, I'm reminded that in the 21st century, the outthink, we don't have the desert to ourselves after all. Glider swoops down over us, an all-seeing video camera at the ready. Deep down, You've been to many deserts in the world. Do you have one place that you find is most rewarding?
I've been, yes, to different places. I like this one because the Sahara here is still alive.
Well, it's a great machine. Can you do some work with us? Would that be possible? Just get up in the air and we have our boys here. Oh, sorry.
I think this might be just a streak of Yorkshire Puritanism, but I don't want the Sahara to become an adventure playground. And after all the excitement, I'm glad to be back with the people who live here.
Fire in the Sahara after it's been 132 degrees Fahrenheit this afternoon. 56 centigrade, but it goes down to, it gets quite cold at night, it goes down to about, well, can get as low as the high 80s. You know, sort of 40 degrees, well, 38 degrees at night. And it suddenly, oddly enough, it seems cold. That seems, anyway, it's just nice to have a fire, very fresh bomb there. Is hot. Oh, from what? I see. Oh, this is a bit of the cheese, yeah. Tacoma.
الفطور الفطور
Alfato.
ايوه شاي
Teaching me rude words. Oh, these little Tuareg soirees. Cheese is nice. Very nice. Cheers. En anglais, nous disons cheers. Cheers. Down the hatch. Bottoms up. Bottoms up. Bottoms.
bottom
Bottoms.
bottoms
Up.
Up.
Yeah. Hey, great. Bottoms up.
bottoms up
Bottoms up.
bottoms up
It's up. Very good. Bottoms up.
bottoms up شاي
Shahi.
يزرد
Yazot.
الفطور
Alfator.
تقمة
Tacoma.
تقمة تقمة
Not again. Tacoma.
الفطور
Alfator.
شاي
Shahi.
يزرد
Yazot. God bless Her Majesty. Bottoms up.
bottoms up
Later today, our ways will part, and already they've got someone new to look after.
This little gazelle was found abandoned by its mother at the campsite, and they're going to keep it and look after it. And this will become a pet. This is not one for the pot. There are gazelles in the Sahara Desert. It's amazing. I know there are camels, and I know there are lots of tiny, smaller animals, but there are gazelles as well roaming around. It shows even here in the depths of the desert there's life. And this one I think will hopefully survive. Amazing ears. Look after you.
It's always the way. Just as I'm learning how to cope, it's time to move on. I shall miss all this. The regular rhythm of the day, the reassuring pattern of life on the move. I shall miss Omar and Isambard and all the team who've looked after me, even Ekoik and the camels, though I know they won't miss me. I've learnt a lot, Maybe not enough to start a religion, but certainly a clearer view of basic truths. If it's simple as that. Omar will doubtless be delighted to see the back of us of bringing the salt back from Bilma.
Au revoir. Bon voyage. Bon voyage. Hey, goodbye. Merci, 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 merci pour tout. Merci pour tout. Hey. You like that shirt, don't you? You always like the shirt. Okay. Yes. Au revoir. Oh, she's going to win the Oscar for this, isn't he? Stop it! It's my show! Damn it! It's my show! Okay. Okay. La
Right, let me see. Algeria, bear right over the mountain, left at the oasis, straight down the gorge.